All right. Well, we are here with a Why Wednesday, and we are closing out this four-part series, and it has been a journey. And I have been thankful to have gone on that journey with you, Mia, of Flores Financial.
So am
You're,
I.
yeah, did we decide it was it's a fountain? I'm gonna say it's a fountain of wisdom. So well done.
No,
So thank you for that. So
of
we've
course.
talked a lot about
Mhm.
recruitment, particularly why talent chooses you, what candidates really want. We talked about flexibility, then the secrets of building that smart recruiting. And oftentimes it comes with this idea of establishing that robust process around recruitment. And so, lastly, we're going to be
Yeah.
talking about retention. And the idea is retention starting with recruitment. And it goes back to our even beginning video when it talks about that authenticity for a cultural fit and understanding that as a candidate, you need to make sure that your values align with the organization.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, as we're closing out this Why Wednesday series, can you explain to me why hiring for culture, either a culture fit or a culture add, matters?
Well, hiring the right candidate can feel at times, we never know whether it's right, but hiring the right candidate feel at times like finding a needle in a haystack, right? If you know, I'm sure you've heard of that saying, finding a needle in the haystack, just, yeah, just give up, right? It's tempting to rush the process, definitely tempting, especially if you're in dire need of it. But avoiding certain pitfalls can lead to a great hire. Being consistent, like we mentioned during our first part of the series, right? Being consistent, the CAT acronym, right? The hiring manager should keep in mind the candidate's connection to the company's culture, right? Did they find our website or your website and therefore can speak about the company's history or accolades, right? Did they do their due diligence to kind of like find out more about the Flores or Culture Insurance and did their homework, right? That will show the motivation of a candidate, and that can speak volumes to their interest alone in being part of a team. And one thing, you mentioned earlier, retention starts at recruitment, right? Like first impression counts, right? And I know I mentioned earlier, I think what was it in our second or third part series where the resumes are a sneak preview only, but that's usually what's long lasting too, right? So we wanna make sure that that first impression makes a lot of difference as well.
I think about our conversation I suppose, a couple of weeks ago when we talked about this idea of hiring fast. And oftentimes, organizations, because they have such a demand, they will hire quickly, they will rush in. And when they do hire a candidate, I suppose the we'll call it the honeymoon phase wears off,
Mhm.
and in actuality, it turns out that it may not have been the best hire. Can you discuss some of the ramifications of,
Yeah.
quote, a bad hire and maybe some ways to avoid it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies experience that a lot, and you can't go back, right? You can't go back to like what has happened. You can go back to the past, right? But then learn from the past, and so that you can prevent those from happening. Doing business is definitely costly, right? It's not going to be a bed of roses, but even the roses have their own thorns, right? As we always say, all these cliches. You've got to love it because you understand them better. It makes it people to have,
Totally. I get it.
right? So for recruitment, that means, time, energy, I would have to say too, and resources spent on job advertisements, reviewing those resumes, and some can have 5, 4, 6 pages, all right? Conducting interviews that can also be lengthy and time consuming, preparing onboarding documents, all of that are part of that process. And then you realize, oh, I've invested so much time, but this is something that a company needs to invest in. Having a streamlined process in place, having, yes, maybe comprehensive, but a streamlined process that's consistent. And if it's not working, change it, right? And be innovative and utilize those data metrics and do your analysis based on your data. If it's not working, fix it or change it. as well. Doesn't mean, you're going to try to do the same process, even though like for years it's not been working. Have some strategies in place, some recruitment strategies in place to avoid mistakes that happen in the past so that that's not happening again in the future. And we all do not like to make the same mistakes, right? And so bad hire hits your bottom line, as we all know, right? And can even lower morale among current employees. So, at times you have to think fast, you have to analyze, you have to do what's right. Not only, yes, not only for the company's sake or for your sake, but also for the employee's sake. Are they really developing? Are they really growing? Do your analysis, be that support and make sure you strategize accordingly for the good of everyone, for the good of the company overall. If they're not aligning, if they're no longer aligned with the company, or you need to go through your process. Make sure that, hey, they were hired for a reason. What happened? Right? And then you analyze that further. And if it's not based on how you hired that person, then maybe reevaluate and try to do something about it rather than not doing anything about it.
That's a helpful perspective too, that I obviously thought of the revenue costs as it relates to
Yeah.
time and resources, but when it comes to the cost of a bad hire, there is certainly a morale issue
Yeah.
as well. And I didn't think about that. Now, this
Right.
is a shameless plug from me. I am not employed by Flores at all, but I will say this. We've had conversations, and I know Flores has this incredible process, recruiting process that they do offer to clients as well that
Yeah.
helps build loyalty from that day one. And so for me, this is just a simple, shameless plug. Like I said, not an employee of Flores, but I know Mia, you worked very hard to develop that recruiting process. And as you have that robust recruiting process, it helps circumvent a lot of these challenges when it comes to that bad hire. So that
Yeah.
resource is available, and I appreciate you for working hard on that.
Of course. No, thank you. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. So great way to wrap up this conversation that we've had, this four-part series on attracting and recruiting. Hopefully you all got a lot out of it. Really thankful to Mia for being available. And Mia, I appreciate it. I appreciate your
Thank
knowledge
you.
and your expertise. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next one.
Nice.